Can you see me? Hear me? Anything? Let me watch. I have to watch on my phone. Hello? Where do I see the comments? Wait. Wait. Can I see anything? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay, wait. Oh, hello. I can see you. Great. Okay, let's see. I just wanted to tell you something because this is a pre-recorded session and I will start this video. I'll be here reading your comments, writing them down, and when the presentation is over, I will reply to them. Okay? Great. Are you all good? I hope you like it. I've never done this. So, here we go. I will disappear from the video and will screen share the presentation. Okay? Bye-bye. Let me just check this and this. Oh wait, I just have to turn on off my microphone.
Dog nail maintenance. You can do it. Hi, my name is Natalia and I really want to tell you something. I want to congratulate you to have shown up to learn about how to safely trim or file a dog's nails. It can be done and surely you can do it because I believe in you. So my nail journey was the following. I watched a very famous video on Susan Gary's YouTube channel about the importance of nail maintenance, probably in 2015, and then still it took me quite some time to actually regularly do my dog's nails. At some point I did dog nails whenever I had the opportunity, and somewhere in 2019 I started to do them professionally. With every dog that I have the pleasure to do the nails, I learn something new. And I hope that the info I gathered here for you is useful and encouraging. For professionals, or maybe if you consider becoming one, dog nail maintenance for your clients might be a potential stream of income. It doesn't matter if you're a groomer, dog walker, dog trainer, or if you run a daycare or a hotel. As long as you have access to dogs, they might need regular nail maintenance, and you can be or become the person offering that service. If you have any question about this possibility, feel free to drop me a line. Other advantages of paw handling. So being able to handle the paws of your dog is quite important. You might need to check your dog's paws for foxtails. We actually had some that got almost infected that I only discovered during our nail trims last year. Or you might need to cut your dog's hair between the pads on the paws so they don't slip indoors or on stairs. That could be more important for older dogs or dogs with very long hair, like even between their paws. You also might want to apply regularly something like Mosher Secret or any other balm to your dog's paws for a variety of reasons. And therefore handling your dog's paws is important. As for the technical specifications that are often used for nailing dogs, it comes mainly is a read-only group. It has currently almost 130,000 members. So, rotation-wise, it has been always advised to use 5 to 15,000 rotations per minute. When you start out with dremeling, I would suggest you start on the lowest and slowest setting, which usually is 5,000 rotations per minute, and to the highest settings when you're really comfortable, know the dog, know what you're doing, and because 15,000 takes actually off quite a lot. Also, don't put a lot of pressure on the Dremel itself while working, as that heats things up even further. And I usually work in the 10,000 rotations per minute range. Also, when you work with a Dremel, you need to be careful to not stay longer in the same spot for 1 or 2 seconds, and try to check regularly with your finger if the nail is getting hard. Move on to another nail or to a different spot on the nail to allow a cool down time for where you've just dremeled. A Dremel or rotary tool, being cordless or not, is preference. Sometimes a very small, very basic Dremel-like tool, and what I love about that is that I can charge it in my car when I'm on the road, and when the Dremel already has an empty battery. Talking some more about tools, they need to be the right choice, and there is a right choice for every human team, I believe. So you can use nail clippers. There are different styles and different qualities. You can use a Dremel, or we call them rotary tools or electric files. You can also use scratch boards, or one of my favorites, a simple manual nail file. Nail clippers should be very sharp, so you can trim off tiny slices. I use Miller's and Forge, the red handle ones, but the orange handle seems to be recommended too, and the Safari Professional nail clippers too. The guillotine style is not so recommended, as it does not allow very well to follow the alternative cut line or take off tiny slivers. So the tools you see in this slide are all logos. The first blue file is a metallic file. I've seen them. They don't take off much of anything, and I would not recommend them. The second one is a nail clipper. The style is good, but they are usually not very sharp. Sometimes this strange screw in the middle comes loose, and the guillotine style ones are also tend to be not very sharp, and for the reasons I already mentioned, would not be recommended. We sometimes come across about a lot of tools that are being offered to be safe and very helpful to Dremel your dog's nails or to file them down, like the petty paws or similar stuff we see in Facebook ads or Instagram. Don't do yourself a favor and don't go for them. Just buy a regular rotary tool, and that will work so much better. And here we go, my all-time favorite for everybody starting out, manual nail files, one you can buy everywhere. So I found out that form and grit do matter. So for larger dogs, I prefer wider nail files, and as for the coarseness or the grit of the files, I prefer 80 or 100, so you actually take off some of the nail. I really like nail files. Did I already mention that? Go get one, they're cheap. And here you can see the famous nail clippers that are being recommended. On the left you see the Safari, and it's called a professional dog nail clipper or something like that. And on the right you see the very famous Miller's and Forge red handle. I really love them, they're really good. And yeah, if you don't want to file, or if you want to cut and file, get one of those. Another very famous tool is the Dremel Micro ET50. It's the one I use, besides the rotary tools I use. And it's a good tool. It's really, I like it. It's good. If you can afford it, get one. And, I mean, there are other equally good Dremels and rotary tools. And this one is, I really like him. Did I mention that? On this slide, you see a small rotary tool, which is the one I use to charge which I charge in my car, which I can charge in my car. I really like that. It's not 100% perfect, but it's really not expensive. It's like 20 euros on Amazon, and well, it does the job. Scratch boards. You have the straight ones, which you can use. I'm not a big fan of scratch boards because I see people have a lot of problems getting the back nails done, and then the straight scratch boards tend to take off more on the two front nails and not so much on the sides. So anyway, but it's definitely a possibility if you think your dog wouldn't like anything else. Maybe you can start on a scratch board. I prefer the half-rounded scratch boards because they like assemble more the form of a dog paw, you can see here. And well, I mean, they could work for the front paws at least. You could get some very long nails trimmed a little bit. I would only suggest to use scratch boards if your dog already has a very solid behavior, like give a paw, and it would be pretty easy scratch board, because otherwise I would suggest you invest your training time in getting your dog used to a certain position, and maybe use a nail file or a clippers or a Dremel. So what you see in this slide is the head of the Miller's and Forge clipper and a very tiny black nail sliver that I took off. And I just added that slide so you can see how small slivers can and should be at some point, at least, when you want to be really on the safe side. As for the different positions you can use to do your dog nails, I really like to lay dogs down between my legs with the belly up, paws up. I realize that is not always the best choice for every dog in your team. And you want to cut your dog nails while your dog is standing. Please consider lifting one leg takes stability away and make your dog pull the paw away in order to gain more stability. Also, fatigue sets in after a while, so when standing on three legs, I imagine. Lying on the side is a good choice for big and old dogs. I mean, obviously you can do nails on any size dog while laying down on the side. Teaching that position can include a constant behavior like keeping the head on the floor as a keep going signal. In any position, we must keep in mind that the dog's shoulders do not work like ours, so we cannot rotate them outwards. Maybe try more than one position, even not limit to the ones I have shown, and choose the one he or she likes most. As you can see in the picture, that's how I like to lay down the dogs between my legs. I usually turn them around to do the back nails. So laying on their side is also an option, which I use in dogs that have a solid lay down command and don't get up. Or if they're very old dogs, and it's not likely that they would enjoy being with the belly up. In this slide, you see a dog sitting and me doing the nail on one of the front legs from the front, which is not something I usually do. But if you have worked towards that goal, maybe that's a possibility. Just check that you have good visibility, that there's light, and that the dog does not get too tired of holding up one paw, so change frequently from one paw to another maybe. Then there is also the possibility that the dog is standing and you lift the legs and fold them backward. Some dogs enjoy that, or let it happen. As I said many times, I don't think dogs enjoy it very much if they only have to stand on three legs, as it takes away stability. But if your dog for some reason is used to that sort of position, you can definitely use that to do the nails. Safety. Please use a mask to protect yourself from the dust. Some people do use a mask for the dogs too, like a bandana, somehow you call it. Please tie your hair back if you have long hair and want to use a rotary tool. You do not want to get it tangled in the tool. Very unpleasant. I've seen pictures. I added the picture. You will not like it. Also, please use glasses, because the dust in your eyes is very irritating. This is the nails, the paws actually, of a tackle. This is before I did the nails, and that's how they looked after the nails. So I do think it's pretty understandable that those must be more comfortable to have the nails off the ground than on the ground. In this slide called Alternative Cut Line, you can see some marks that I did on a white nail from one of my dogs. So the red lines are the ones you'll follow for filing, cutting in the first instance. So you cut on top of the nail and then on the sides. And where I put the green line under the nail, this is where usually we don't take off much nail under the nail because it pretty fast can become pretty sensitive. So where the green line is, I usually only pass a nail file to take off the excess nail that might still be there. So it's not much of a taking off, but rather like cleaning up. Reading nails, all colors. Quick cannot ever be evaluated safely through the nail. Yes, I know, you see the pink vein inside clear nails, but it is not safe in any way, and the sensible part of the quick can start way before what you can see through the side of the nail. So we read the nail right on the surface where we work on. Black nails are actually easier to read than white nails. Let's have a look. In this slide, you can see the first cut I made on that nail. I only took off a tiny bit straight at the point, and even if you see the nails are pretty long and you probably can take off more, I prefer a approach that is safe and prefer to cut more times than one time too many. so this is what I cut off, and compared with the other two nails, you can see it has really only been like the tip of the nail. Okay, so in this slide we see a black nail, two black nails, and where the red arrow is, that is where the sort of old quick is. It's the old vein, it's the rest. And the surface is where on both nails is where I cut like the lateral side cuts of the alternative cut line, pretty small pieces, so you just have a notion of how I usually approach a nail. So I cut a bit in the front, and then I did the cut 1 and 2, and then I look at the nail and re-evaluate to see how things go. So it's like small steps. In this case, it's really safe. So in this slide, you can see a bunch of black nails that have, in this case, been Dremeled, electrically filed, in a straight line in the front. I did this because sometimes I do that. I just like, as a first step, instead of cutting up off the tip of the nail, I just Dremel them straight until in steps, obviously, not all at once. So I can then look at it and see when something different on the surface appears, which I will show you in the next slide. So there is a black nail and there are some black nails and there's a white nail, and you can see they're pretty straight in the front. And on the white, that's why we say white nails are harder to read than black nails, because on the black nail you can so much easier see when the change comes from the consistent hard nail and goes over into the area where the old vein, the old quick that dried up becomes crumbly, and that's not so easy to see on a white nail. So black nails are easier to read because the transition from the hard part to the softer ones is much more visible. Pretty paw of chocolate lab, as you can see. The arrow points to where the quick appears, or where I have cut off with the clippers, and I wouldn't go further than that. Now I would start to file. So I took like 1, 2, 3 cuts, small cuts off. These nails were not too long, and then I would file from here on. This is a picture where you can see the little arrow points to where the quick appears. The nail has been worked with a file or a Dremel around, not in the middle, like on the sides and on the top, And then in the middle appears appears the quick, which is softer and it sticks a little bit out. There's another picture next where you can see how the quick starts to pop out. So you can see pretty well how the little dot in the middle where the arrow points, that's the beginning of the quick. It's dried, there's no active blood supply, but sometimes it appears like that, and that's where it definitely should stop. I mean, like, don't go any further. This is one of the fifth nails of one of my dogs, so that nail actually never touches the ground, so it's not so risky. But I didn't do it on purpose. It's just like I really have to keep these nails short, and when I took the picture, I saw, oh God, I went almost to the quick. I mean, so, and I took a picture and used it for educational purposes, obviously. Here's the nails off the ground. I mean, like, what can I say? You see, they're not touching the ground while the dog is standing on a hard surface. That's what we aim for. And yeah, you can see these nails are a bit rounded in the front. They're not like completely straight, and some are a bit longer than others. So that's a real life pictures of one of my dog's nails when they're the way they are being maintained. Here you can see a clear nail, and the arrow points towards where the softer part appears. So clear as you can see it on the black nails. Now you get why we say black nails are easier to read. So if you would touch on this in person, then you would notice the difference between the hard nail and the softer part where the arrow points. So you would actually be able to feel it. I sometimes use the tip of my fingernail to see if I can dig it in. I chose this picture because actually where the arrow points you can see that the soft squishy part gets a bit shiny. So it's when you file on the part that gets squishy and then you clean the dust off, the squishy part is a bit shiny sometimes. That might help you. Another angle of the same foot, I think, paw. Two arrows pointing to where the quick comes out, where you can see that the structure of the nail changes. As I say, white nails, tiny changes, be careful. Continuing to observe the same paw. So here you can see there are three arrows, and two of them on the lower nail. The lower arrow points to what looks like a fiber thing. This appears when the nail gets softer, and the arrow that comes straight from the right side towards the nail, so you can see this pointy tip where the quick starts to show up in this pointy way. One could file over that, but it's already at a point where I would say don't go further. And the other arrow also shows on top of the nail where the softer material makes like how do you call that, threads. It gets like fiber like. It's not so hard that it turns into dust, but since it's softer it gets like, yeah, fiber like I can't explain that any better. I hope you understand what I mean. These are two pictures of whippet feet, and you can see that, I mean, they look always long because whippet have a strange structure feet. They always look long, but these, once they're cut, did not touch the ground anymore. So that's what we aim for. So you see, from very pointy to much shorter and more of a rounded look. You can see some Vizsla feet, paws, nails. They're brown, red-like-ish. So the left picture is maintained but not freshly trimmed. The underside is hollow like the other ones, where you can see there's not really quick. It's like empty nail, but be careful when you take that off. And then the properly trimmed same paw, where the arrow points, you can see the quick coming out or being ready to show itself. So that's where I stop. So I have two pictures here. The first one is this one from a black nail, where I actually only on the picture saw that I had quit the dog. So that means if you go slow, if you go safe, there will most of the times not even form a drop of blood that leaves the nail. It's just a little dot where you can see, oh, there's blood, but nothing really happens. So obviously this is not what we want, but sometimes it does happen, and so this is how safety pays off in case you quick your dog. There's a small red dot you can see, and that is how the quicking has manifested in that clear nail. Sort of like in the black nail, no drop of blood has formed, no pressure was needed, and yeah, that's probably if there's a good way to quick a dog, it's like this. How to stop blood. In case you quick a dog, your dog with a clipper and blood starts to flow abundantly, please stay calm and apply pressure. The most decisive factor for stopping the blood is time. You need to apply pressure for 3 to 5 minutes. Remember, you can do it, and I believe in you. After the nail trim. If you try to get close to the quick, please be mindful about allowing any running on abrasive surfaces for your dog during the next 24-48 hours, so he or she does not self-quick, which can happen if you take your dog to tennis court and throw the ball or something like that, or even running a lot on the street. So please be mindful about that. questions. So somebody asked, how often do I need to file my dog's nails? It's a question that has not only one answer. It depends a bit on your dog, depends on the surface he's walking on. Like, there are actually floorings that make it really hard to get no clicking. But generally, I would say, like, it also depends if your dog does let you do all the nails in one session, or you can only do one nail. But if you can only do one nail, I would at least do one a day. So if your dog allows you to do all the nails in one session, I would say like at least once a week to maintain. If you want to make his quicks shorter, the whole nail shorter, the quicks recede and the nails off the ground, then you can work like every 2 to 3 days a little bit. It's very personal. Some nails grow like crazy and others don't. If your dog comes back from the grooming and he still clicks, I would have a look at the nails. If they have only cut the tip off, then there is room for you to work more. So sometimes we see dogs coming from groomers and they only have a straight cut in the front, and so you could file the nail to follow the alternative cut line, which would be, or you could take up with clippers, little tiny slivers. So the aim is always to get the nails off the ground, so there's no pressure on the nail bed. As for the question, how do you safely trim black nails? You trim them the same way you trim any nails, carefully with the right tools in small steps, and always evaluating the surface you're working on. So not by hoping to see the quick from the side. If you are unsure about things, I would highly recommend you to work with a nail file, because that's just slow and safe and still effective. How do you introduce nail trimming when you have a dog who freaks out and pulls away the paw every time they see the nail clipper? So, preparing a dog for nail trimming sessions is a multi-task purpose thing you have to do. So like, there's the position you need the dog to get used to so he's comfortable with you handling the paws. And then there is the thing where you have to create what we call a conditioned emotional response. It's like you show the clippers and the dog gets happy. It's a bit like you grab the leash and the dog's like, hey, we're going for a walk. So you want that sort of reaction from your dog when he sees the nail trim equipment. Independently of that reaction towards the equipment, you still need to get your dog to be comfortable in the position and to be comfortable with paw handling. How to get comfortable with nail trims when you, the human, are nervous about grinding nails and have a bit of a nail phobia. Well, how do you overcome fear? Well, some people try to rationalize, which usually doesn't work. I have heard from someone that classical conditioning works pretty well, so maybe you want to choose something and reward yourself with it when you maybe start out thinking about nail trims, and when you get nervous you reward yourself. Even thinking about it, you go in really small steps, and once you're thin you can do it, just break it down in a bunch of small steps. And if you choose a safe way of doing it, like filing manual file and learning to read nails and look often what you see on the surface you work, I am totally sure you can get there and you can get to a comfortable place of doing nails. Is a scratch board a good idea? Well, it depends a lot on the situation. If you have a dog that doesn't allow paw handling, you need to decide if you want to work on making paw handling something positive for your dog, or if you really need to get those nails down. And then if you find a way of introducing the scratch board while you also train other behaviors, then yeah, you could do that. Not so easy to get the back nails done on a scratch board because the movement is harder to train than the classical give me a paw. Also, it depends on the type of scratch board you use. I have talked about that the straight scratch boards usually only tend to take away from the two front nails. And you also have other risks, like the paw pads could get sensible from the scratching. You need to look at the position you want the paw to be in while the scratching happens. So I would choose a different method. If nail growth can be slowed down, I think it's a genetical thing, so I don't think so. I mean, like, I have not seen any evidence for that. If you have, like, nails that break a lot, you can give a supplement that works for nails and skin and stuff like that, but growing slowed down would be pretty impossible, I think. What I can say about being effective in doing nail trims is that I can, in a maintained rhythm, like once a week, do all nails on my dog in like 5 minutes. And that is from laying down to finishing. So that's 5 minutes per week. I think that's okay. If you have a nail that is so long that it touches the paw pad, then you have to find a way of getting sort of under the nail. I have seen this a lot on bull terriers, and it's not easy. So if the under part of the nail touches the paw pad, then I usually try to file the excess nail on the underside away. You need to be careful with that, as I've mentioned, because because it can get sensitive, because the vein is on the underside unprotected, but nail growth's over it. So it depends on the nail and how the nail grows. So maybe you can send me a picture and I could give you any hints. If you have like questions about that, maybe a picture would help, so one can see what sort of nail it is. The frequency, if daily or weekly, depends on the point you are in your journey. If you're still teaching a dog to get his paws handled comfortably, I would say try daily. Just like even show the tools, a little bit of showing the tools, giving some treats. If you're working on the position, you can do that daily. Once your dog is ready to have his nails done, it depends on how many nails you can do in one session, but you can do daily sessions. But once, like, say your dog is all used to it, I usually do my dog's nails once a week. If I hear them clicking, I might do them and then like 3 days later do them again. So you can overcome the worry to cut the quick and hurt your dog. If you go safe, like filing, if you go slow, if you read the nail, if you verify, if there is a change in surface, it is very, very unlikely that you will quick and hurt your dog. So I would say that's the best way to overcome the worry about that possible issue. How to recede long quicks. You can only make quicks shorter if you regularly do the nails in a way that you come close enough to the quicks so that you get really close to the quick, and then they sort of dry out and then get shorter. So you only can get quicks to recede if you do nail trims very frequently. Like once a week might not be enough. So maybe every 3 days, every 4 days, every 2 days. That's the hard truth. How to explain to people or clients about the importance of nail care. Well. It's never easy to convince anybody of anything, really. So I would point out the importance, not so much the importance, but rather the advantages of having short nails, which means less risk for ripping a nail off, getting caught anywhere, scratching people. Because people tend to be worried about their own well-being, and I'm not saying that people are not worried about their dog's well-being, but if you explain to people maybe that it's a win-win, because no clicking, no hurting, no scratching, and also it's good for the dog, that maybe they get it. It's always easier to show some pictures maybe, or explain about the structural changes, about sometimes I speak about the pressure in the nail bed that a nail causes when it touches the ground. It's like, gotta go with the situation really to find out to what people are receptive. So what is their issue with their dog, and then maybe you can pick that up. So how to make your dog sit still through a session? Well, you have to cut the session as short as the attention span of your dog is, and you have to work on duration. Sometimes when I want people to get their dogs used to being paw handled and nail trims, I actually tell them to just, once you come to a point where you can hold the paw, just grab the nail and make like one stroke on one nail, and that's the whole session. And then you see your reward, you let the dog go, another day, another session, or maybe an hour later. It depends on so many factors, but sessions can be really short because you want your dog to be comfortable. The best position. Well, best position depends on what works best for the dog and the human. There are reasons for choosing some positions, and there are reasons for choosing other positions. Depends on the age, on what the dog already knows. If I have like a blank slate of a dog who's never done his nails, I will always try to get him used to do it between laying down, paws up, belly up, between my legs, because that allows me a lot of visibility, and also they can relax because you can observe their body language pretty well when they relax in that position, so you can train the relaxing position between the legs. But I also get a lot of back pain if I do lots of dog nails in that position, so it depends on so many factors. Like maybe do a little checkup of where you are with your dog. Where does he enjoy being relaxed next to you? Like, even if it's on the sofa or something, you really gotta look after your dog and where you could possibly do it. In a dog who has gotten more worried over time about nail trims, what is the best approach to make them happen? Go slow, go back, start from scratch, use different tools. So if he's worried about the clippers, but he's fine in the position and being paw handled, then I would change the tool. If he's worried about the position, I would train another position. I would just look at the whole picture and see at what point the dog gets uncomfortable, and then change that. If you want to send me a message, feel free. Maybe we can explain better and I can give another great tip. How do you build confidence for nail trims? I would say going slow, watching what the dog offers and where he struggles, and to overcome the struggle. I mean, like low confidence in general of being handled, then you have to build the confidence in being handled. Maybe build in some consent where the dog has some choice if something continues or not, like they start button behaviors. It depends a little bit on where the confidence needs to be built up. Is it for being handled, for the position, for having a like to the tool, duration? I don't know. Send me a message. There's always so much more to say. Please let me know what else you want to know, and I will do my best to arrange the info needed. I listed all the resources I mentioned and some places where you can buy some of the Dremels I mentioned, and I might increase other stuff. I just got a new Dremel, which I will test, and then I might add it to the resource list. You will find it at nataliabravo.pt/dognails/. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I can do it.
Okay. So, that was it. Ha! Do you need anything else? Let's see. Have any questions? There was one question about the multiple cuts. If cutting off multiple slivers is more stressful to a dog than taking maybe off a bigger cut, so I would say if you have properly conditioned your dog to like the tools and the whole procedure, and you have duration, going slow is better because you simply don't risk the dog being quicked. And I don't think it does matter for the dog what you're doing, as long as he enjoys the whole procedure. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're cutting actually nail, or if you're using a clipper or a machine. As long as he's properly conditioned to it, then there isn't a problem. Let me read the comments. So, so you don't have any more questions? So maybe you can tell me where you're at with your journey with your dogs. I mean, like, are you cutting the nails, or is it a problem? Do you want to know more? On the resources list, I listed some of the videos. One is from Emily Lalham, Kickle Pup, and she explains really, really well how you get your dog used to one of that positions, how to do the nails. So maybe I would need to know where you're at in order to say anything, really. So anyway, if you have any more questions, if anything comes up, if you start out getting your dog, choose a position where we think you'd cut your dog nails, then you can call me out on the live, and I can come back to you, or just send me a message with any questions, and I can try and point you in the right direction. So, if there are no further questions, I will finish the live, and I hope you all start in some way doing your dog's nails. Maybe share some pictures if you started doing them, and I'd be really, really glad to see any progress that you could make. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great Sunday.